All right, Mr. Lynch, can you hear me okay?
I can. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Are you representing Dennis Rowe?
I am.
And is he with you?
He is not present with me, but I can see on my screen that he is that he does appear to have connected to Zoom, and he's getting the audio connected now.
All right. And I see Ms. Crumback, and you have Jeffrey Nettleton?
Yes, Your Honor.
And is Mr. Nettleton's with you?
Yes,
Yes,
he
Your
is.
Honor.
Okay, that's fine. Mr. Lynch, we're going to start with your case with Dennis Rowe for the sentencing today on this high BAC and possession of a gun under the influence. If there's anything that you can think of that you want to say, Mr. Lynch.
Well, Your
Mr.
Honor.
Rowe, can you hear us okay?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead,
Your
Mr. Lynch.
Your Honor, hopefully the court has had the benefit of the substance abuse evaluation that we submitted on behalf of Mr. Rowe.
Yes?
Okay, great.
From New Life Counseling.
Excuse me?
From New Life Counseling.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yep. Go
Well,
ahead.
Well, Your Honor, I've had a number of opportunities to talk with Mr. Rowe about the situation, and I know that he is deeply regretful of the decisions that he made. Was out of character behavior for him, but he also is a relatively young guy, and we understand that the court needs to make sure that there are appropriate sanctions here. But I do wish to communicate on his behalf that he understands this kind of thing can never happen again. He is someone who has lawfully owned a different firearm for some time. This gun that was in the vehicle that he was arrested in regarding this incident is one that he's had for many years. It came up stolen, as the court can see, but that's not a fact of which Dennis was aware. He'd purchased it when he was, I think, a teenager from a private party, and had just had it. And then and it was one of those things that he never had occasion to take care of. And so, he knows you can't possess firearms in that manner. And he knows that as a result of the firearm conviction in this case, that there are going to be sanctions and limitations on his ability to possess firearms and to have a CPL for a little while. So there is going to be a sanction. He's also lost the gun through forfeiture. So I know that Dennis has learned from this. I know that that he's someone who's works hard, and he's got a lot going for him. And I don't anticipate that you'll ever have to worry about him being in your courtroom again. So thank you, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Rowe, can you think of anything that you want to say? Thank you, Mr. Lynch.
No, Your Honor.
All right. There's two different charges. The high BAC is the .17 and above. Of course, you were a .21. It's almost 3 times the legal limit. I get that you were just pulling out of the pizza place, but we don't know what could have happened. We're fortunate that nothing bad happened where you were hurt, or that you hurt someone else, or that you were killed, or that you killed someone else in a car accident. Nothing to do with the gun. The gun is just in the glove box. It's a whole separate, different rules. Nobody's saying that you were drunk whipping the gun around or anything like that. The focus here is that you were driving intoxicated. And when you do your assessment, you talk to the people about where you'd been and who you were with. You told them you had 15 shots of liquor. Most of us, I think, in our whole life never had 15 shots of liquor in one sitting. I don't know how you do it. And then you think you can drive. You're literally putting people's lives at risk when you make that decision, separate and apart from the gun. And ironically speaking, sometimes we say driving a car around drunk is like having a gun in your hand, shooting it off. I know that's not what happened here, and I get that the gun had nothing to do with this. It was just in the glove box. But like I said, there's a whole set of rules about having the gun. You have to have it registered. You have to have it properly legalized. You have to have authority to hold it. When you're intoxicated, you can't have it in your possession. They call it being in the glove box in your possession. You're smarter than how you acted throughout this whole thing. I don't even know you. And I realize that you're smarter than how you acted. It makes me worry because we get fatals all the time. And once it's a fatal car accident, there's no going back. And you can be as sorry can be, and it won't make a damn bit of difference because you'd killed somebody. Not because you meant to, not because you wanted to, because you were intoxicated driving a car. Do you get what I'm saying, Mr. Rowe?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's really important that you focus on this because this isn't saying you're a bad person. This experience shows that you made a series of really poor decisions. And again, I say, I think you're smarter than that. On the high BAC charge, it's a 6-month suspended jail sentence. 5 months, 28 days are suspended. You get credit for 2 days in custody. You'll have to do 12 days of community service. You won't do any more jail unless you mess up. You'll be on probation for 1 year. Even though you're 23, no alcohol whatsoever, no illegal drugs, no misuse of prescription medication, no marijuana, testing randomly, and counseling as they recommended through your counseling with the assessment program at New Life Counseling. The monetary fine on a high BAC is $1,000. $360 is the probation fee for $30 a month times 12 months you're on probation. $75 crime victims' right fee, $275 back to the Kent County Sheriff's Department. That's $1,710 on that charge. For having possession of the firearm while you're under the influence, even though this had nothing to do with the gun and it was in the glove box, I'm putting down a $100 fine and you forfeit the gun. I don't have any idea what the value of the gun is or whether it had any meaning to you, but it's gone. You have to act smarter than you were here. Into the future, you never want to be a defendant again. The Secretary of State will take your license away. Follow exactly what they say. You'll have a payment plan set up on all the monies you owe the court. Did you actually put cash bond down when you got released?
Yes.
They can apply that. They'll apply that to the $1,810 that you owe in this case. Was it $500?
Yes.
So then they'll bring it down to $1,310 as your balance, and they'll set up a plan. Don't have a repeated offense. We don't want to have anything going on that's going to create a problem into the future for you or for anyone else. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. Now, Mr. Lynch, if there's anything else your client has, they'll be contacting him via our court. Is the Sand Dune address in Wyoming still good, Mr. Rowe?
Yes.
So look for your mail. If you have any questions, you call your attorney. Okay?
Yeah.
Thank you, Your
All
Honor.
right. Mr. Lynch, that's it. Thank you on the Roe matter.
We appreciate
Mr.
it. Thank you, Your
Pebley?
Honor.
Mr. Pebley, I want to put you in a room with Mr. Bolton. He's at the Muskegon County Jail. And we're
Right.
going to put you in a separate room so you can talk to Mr. Rowe for a minute. Deputies at Muskegon County, we'll just from the Zoom, put them in a chat room so they can talk a minute.
Okay, thank you.
I don't think there's anything you guys have to do. We'll just move him and then move him back. All right, thank you, Mr. Pebley.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Crumback, we're working on the Nettleton matter. Jeffrey Nettleton's file is D20-01782FY. Started out as a felony drug charge with this psilocybin mushrooms. You worked out an agreement that he pled to a possession of a Scheduled 5 narcotic, a 1-year misdemeanor. The felony was dismissed. If there's anything that you can think of, Ms. Crumback, that you want to say, you can speak. Otherwise, I'll let Mr. Nettleton speak as well. We got the assessment from Centennial Park Counseling.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor, I would like to address the court and also to just mention that the charge was not reduced from a felony to a misdemeanor. It was mischarged. It's never been a felony. It's always been a misdemeanor, just to make it clear to the court. That's not
Well,
to
the
minimize.
original charge was a felony, but it was incorrectly charged, is what you're saying.
That's right, yes. And
All right,
that's not to
fine.
minimize what happened here. It's just to make sure that everybody's clear on what happened in that situation. But
Okay.
I'm glad you got the assessment. Yes, Jeffrey was just assessed yesterday at Centennial Park Counseling. Your Honor, I've known Jeffrey Nettleton since he was about 2 years old. His father and I have worked together for going on 19 years at Micah Myers. So Jeffrey is somebody that I personally know and have been involved with, not just, in my job right now, but as a personal family friend. And Jeffrey does not have a criminal record. This has been a wake-up call for him. As you can see from the Centennial Park Counseling Report, Jeffrey has used marijuana in the past to self-medicate. And this incident has really forced him now to look for other healthier ways to cope and to make better life choices. He is working 30 to 35 hours a week. He is living with his father, Mark Nettleton, my law partner, and he's been paying rent to live there, and he's current on his rent payments. He has been weekly counseling with Brett May, who has been his therapist for the past 7 years. His next appointment is Friday, and he will continue seeing Brett May weekly or as ordered by the court if that's different. Jeffrey and I have read the recommendations of the Centennial Park counselor, and we're in agreement with the recommendations that the evaluator made, that he has a drug-free recovery, including no marijuana, no alcohol use, that he continues to see his therapist, Brett May, on a weekly basis, and that he attends the Narcotics Anonymous meetings. We are requesting sentencing under the Holmes Youthful Trainee Act, and we understand that that is within your discretion to give that or not. And also, Your Honor, Jeffrey's father is present for this call and would like to say a few words if the court will allow that.
Okay, first I'd like to ask if Jeffrey Nettleton wants to say anything.
Okay, and he does. Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, I'd like to say I'm sorry. My actions have destroyed my life and others. This made me realize how bad my life has become since this incident. And it didn't just hurt me. It hurt my attorney, Ms. Crumbag. It hurt my dad. It's hurt my girlfriend. It's hurt my family. And it's hurt God all of the most. And I apologize for all the trouble I put everyone through since then. And I've been taking steps to better myself as a young man. And this will be a case that will never appear in your courtroom again. I'm sorry.
All right, I appreciate your forthrightness, Mr. Nettleton. Father, Mr. Nettleton, what would you like to say?
Morning, Your Honor. Nice to see you again. I'm sorry it's under these circumstances.
Right.
Obviously, I'm biased for my son, but Jeff is a good young man. He is passionate. He's loyal. He's very caring. I think that he got in with the wrong crowd and got into things and did things that he should not have done. I think he understands the seriousness of the charge, the consequences of his action. I can reiterate what Andrea mentioned to the court, that Jeff does pay rent. He also pays a cell phone bill. He does not currently have a driver's license, but he'll be, when he's able, he'll buy a car and he'll be paying for that and car insurance. So just appreciate the court's time and consideration.
All right, I appreciate that, Mr. Nettleton. Thank you. Mr. Jeffrey Nettleton, in speaking with you, obviously you have a lot of people in your support. What you need to do is have a quiet moment by yourself to look in a mirror and just figure out who you are. I get what your dad said about hanging out with the wrong crowd, but realistically, this all comes down on you.
I know it
You
does.
could have friends, you could have family members that are involved in illegal activity. You could love them, but it doesn't mean you have to be involved in it. You got off track here by using alcohol and drugs in a completely inappropriate way. That's why they're recommending the Narcotics Anonymous meetings continue. You're not out of the woods, and you got to really focus on this. That's why I say you got to take some time to just look at yourself, because you're the only one that can be held accountable for any of this. You make choices and you make decisions. And you mentioned yourself, Mr. Nettleton, Jeffrey, how much of an impact this has, naming all these people that you hurt. And I don't know if you really get the basic aspect that the choices and decisions you make affect all those others in your life. In a good way when they're good decisions, in a bad way when they're bad decisions. And I get the concept that your dad's talking about getting involved with the wrong crowd and maybe being easily influenced. And I'm sure you've heard it before, but you've got your own brain and your own head, and you've got to use it. Because there's no excuse, none, for you being involved in criminal activity, period. And then for it to just create more difficulties for any kind of addiction you might be developing is just really, really problematic. Nobody is asking you to be perfect, but we are asking you to be law-abiding. And when you sit there and say to me, which I know was a prepared statement that you put some time into thinking about what you were going to say, and you say you're never going to see me again, a lot of people tell me that. A lot of people say that in court, the defendants. They're never going to be back in court again. Well, I don't know. And even though Ms. Crumback and your dad know you real well, it's unclear to me right now whether you're going to get it, really get it, and not be back as a defendant, or whether you're going to be back. So you've got to recognize, if you're sincere about what you're saying, start making some intense life changes. Because if you don't make those changes in your life, you're going to set yourself up for big time failure. And it's easy to say right now, you've never had a criminal case, which is what Ms. Crumback said because of your record. You have no record. That doesn't mean you haven't violated the law hundreds of times. You've violated the law hundreds of times. Perhaps that's an exaggeration. But every time you took a sip of liquor when you were 15 or 16 or 17, anytime you used marijuana when you were a kid, every time you did anything like that, it was illegal. You never had any criminal case because the police never were involved and you didn't get charged. But don't for a minute try to think of it like you have no criminal past, because you've been involved in criminal activity in the past. And I'm not trying to make you out to be some hardened criminal. I'm just saying, this isn't the first time you've ever been involved in criminal activity. And you need to be real about that with yourself. You talk about destroying your life. Pretty strong statement. Don't know if that's how you feel right now, or when you felt when this thing went down this summer with your friends in the car when the kid drove right off the road. I'm glad nobody was hurt or killed. I've been dealing with a series of fatalities, 3 in the last 3 weeks, and they're extremely difficult to deal with because of the finality of what we're dealing with. You were in a car that went off the road. Okay, everybody walked away unscathed. Lucky as heck for you guys. Could have been completely different. How does your dad feel then if he has to get the call that you're killed in a car accident in the back seat of your friend's car? You talk about destroying your life. If you were killed in a car accident, your life would be over, no doubt about it. But it's not you that's destroyed, it's your family that's destroyed, because they feel so badly about what has happened. And really, the impact you do have on others with your decision, it's big. And I'm asking you to work towards never being a defendant again. I give you a year suspended jail sentence, 11 months, 28 days suspended, 2 days credit for when you went to jail. You'll be on probation for 1 year, a 1-year probationary period under the 7411 first-time offender program for 12 months starting now to see if you can do this. No alcohol, no illegal drugs, no misuse of prescription medication, no marijuana, testing randomly, and continue the counseling that they've recommended, including the Narcotics Anonymous. It's a $500 fine. The probation fee I'm putting down at $180. Amanda, I know that's less than normal. $180 for that, $75 for the crime victims' right fee. Standard in every one of these cases. The total is $755. You're going to have to work on your own, Mr. Nettleton, to pay that off. And your probation officer will be meeting with you via Zoom, via email, via phone to set this all up. The cash bond that you had goes towards this case. The balance is what you'll have left. Questions that you have for me at all, Mr. Nettleton?
No, Your Honor. Thank you very much.
All right. Ms. Crumback, just if there's any follow-up questions, you can contact the court. Otherwise, we're adjourned on this matter, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, thank you for your courtesy. Okay, we're not quite ready with the Bolton case, but we haven't forgotten about yet. Ma'am, what's your case outside with the blonde hair? We can't hear you. You got to take it off of mute. You're on mute. Can't hear you talking.
Sorry
There you
about
go.
that.
That's it.
I have driving on a suspended, a misuse
Are you
of a,
Shelby?
yes,
You're Shelby Childress?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm going to wait till your attorney connects in. I won't forget that you're there. I'll be back with you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, do that. Ms. Bryant? we're
Donna,
gonna
I'm
put you in
here
a
on
breakout-
Childress.
We're going to put you in a breakout room with Ms. Childress.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh. Mr. Pebley, did you get a chance to talk to Mr. Bolton?
I did, Your Honor, and I'm going to have to file a competency evaluation for him. The article that I printed from him getting arraigned in Muskegon on open murder is that he was hearing voices, and he's in a holding cell.
I think
Yeah.
there was a COVID isolation prospect so that we had a arraignment when he was in his cell. Could be, I'm not positive on that.
Yeah,
Has he disconnected from Muskegon County now?
not that I know of. I just.
Okay, can you bring him back in, Amanda?
He has to, 1.5 more minutes, otherwise I have to close out.
Okay, just wait. It's just another minute and a half, but what you're gonna be doing is filing a competency?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
attorney are you dealing with from the prosecutor's office?
Felix?
Okay. Is he part of the Zoom as well?
He was, but he disconnected.
Okay.
Want me to message?
No. When the time period expires in like 30 seconds, they're going to bring Mr. Bolton back. I'll just
Okay.
put that on the record so the Muskegon County authorities know that we're completed for today. Then you get your paperwork in. I doubt if Felix is going to object to it.
Yeah, I doubt that he can, really, based
Right.
on what I saw.
Just now too, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yeah, oh yeah, all over the place.
okay. Amanda, we can put that Goosettis on the record. It's on file D20-0234-F340FY, Kristen Goosettis. It's spelled Gousettis. She's represented by the defender's office, and it was a possession of heroin. It's going to be an arraignment waiver and a circuit court arraignment waiver and a preliminary exam waiver. Ms. Alita Bryant is representing Goosettis. We can mention it with Ms. Bryant again. She's prepared the paperwork and sent them to the court. So we didn't ask Ms. Goosettis to be present. Today's the 7th of October, and we'll make that part of the record. Bond will continue as stated. Okay?
I think it's gonna close all the rooms, but I can put them back in one, so.
That's fine. Your time obviously ran out, but he didn't come back.
No, he didn't come back, because they just asked me to close all of them.
Okay. All right, Mr. Jermaine Bolton at the Muskegon County Jail. I know you had a chance to talk a little bit with your attorney, Mr. Bolton. He's wanting to help you with talking to a doctor to see if you need some mental health evaluations. So we're not going to do anything more on your case today, but your attorney will be in contact with you. He's going to be filing a report to have a doctor evaluate you for psychological evaluation. So, Mr. Bolton, you just stay in contact with your attorney. Okay, that's it for Muskegon County Jail. Thank you very much for your help.
Hey,
Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, you bet.
hey,
Yeah,
Okay, you may-
segregation early. They don't want me to say that on there. Hey,
okay.
hold on, I gotta
That's
talk
good.
to
You
my
can talk.
attorney right quick.
He's gonna get in contact with you.
About
Okay, at the Kent County Jail? Is that Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, it is, Judge.
All right, Mr. Sanchez, I'm Judge Sara Smolenski, and we've got attorney Dan Watkins that's representing you. I don't know whether you've had a chance to talk to him recently, but we're just waiting for him to hook up.
Okay.
Have you talked to him recently?
No, I missed his visit,
Okay,
like for 4 minutes, I think. I don't know if
okay.
he was there.
We'll see if he hooks up with us right now. We're waiting to see.
Okay.
I'm trying to get a hold of your attorney by phone, but I'm not having him pick up, Mr. Sanchez.
Okay.
So we'll see. He might be hooking up here pretty quick. Just give me a minute, Mr. Sanchez. I haven't forgotten about you, and I'll get back to you. Okay, Ms. Bryant, on a totally separate matter, I just wanted to say we put the goositis on the record as a waiver and a waiver of the arraignment. You got us the paperwork, and we're all set on that, so thanks very much.
You're welcome, and I'm ready with a waiver on Ms. Childress as well.
Okay, Shelby, are you there? Can you zoom in on a video? Okay, Ms. Shelby Childress, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can, ma'am.
Do you say it, Childress?
Yes, yep, that's how you pronounce it. Thank you.
Ms. Childress, okay, I'm Judge Sara Smolenski, and you had a chance to briefly talk with your attorney, Ms. Alita Bryant. You know that you're scheduled in our court for a probable cause on the felony cases. That was the possession of methamphetamine, receiving and concealing less than $200 as a misdemeanor, driving suspended as a misdemeanor. We also had a couple other misdemeanor cases that you had tickets for, driving suspended and improper dealer plate. I think that Ms. Bryant has worked out some discussion when she talked with the prosecutor, Mr. Tarango, regarding what's going on with the cases now. Go ahead, Ms. Bryant, tell me what's going on.
Thank you, Your Honor. We're going to waive the preliminary exam. They did make the offer of as charged to the possession of meth and a DWLS, that they would dismiss everything else. And they also
Oh, I
said
see.
that's dismissed the RNC under 200, the DWLS, and the misuse of a dealer plate.
Okay, so the other case entirely, there were two separate cases, though, that those other cases, or I think it was 2 tickets out of 1 incident, would be dismissed as well.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Childress, if you waive your preliminary exam, what that means is there's no testimony taken in front of me. In other words, the case moves on to the Kent County Circuit Court, which is the next higher court up from us. You'd get an entirely different judge, not me, and you and your attorney would continue to discuss the case, negotiate and talk about what's the best option available for you. And in the end, you're the one that has to make a decision. Of course, you'll get advice from your attorney, but ultimately you make that final decision. Just like waiving the prelim today, you make that decision even though she gives you advice. Are you with me on that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Also, there's 2 documents that we send to Ms. Bryant. One's waiving the preliminary exam that I just talked about. Another document is what we call the waiver of the circuit court arraignment, so that you don't formally have to go in front of the circuit judge to say not guilty. It allows me to say not guilty on your behalf as the case is sent to circuit court. If you give Ms. Bryant authority to sign those 2 documents, she'll take care of that and send it back to us. And then you and she will be notified as to when your next appointment is going to be at circuit court. Are you with me on that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And do you give her authority to sign just those 2 documents we were talking about?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you think of any questions, Ms. Childress, that jump out at you right now?
Not really. I think she pretty much, kind of covered like the questions I had.
Yeah.
She explained it pretty thoroughly.
Yeah. She's good, and you want to contact her if you have questions. Because
Yeah,
it's natural that questions are going to come up in the future. It kind of reminds me of going to the doctor and you can't remember everything you want to ask them when you're talking to them. So when stuff comes up, make a note of it so you can talk to her about it. Any questions that come up, because it's probably going to be the next 6 weeks or so before you guys get a date at circuit court. Are you with me?
yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I don't really have
Ms.
anything else to
Bryant?
talk about.
Ms. Bryant, can you think of
Yes.
anything else that you have?
No, Your Honor.
Bond will continue as stated on Ms. Childress. We'll enter the waiver of the prelim and the waiver of the circuit court arraignment. My clerk Amanda will send you that documentation, Ms. Bryant. You send it back today.
I will. It will in a few minutes. As soon as she sends it to me, I'll send it back.
It's appreciated for sure. Do you know, I'm sorry? It might be a while because we're in the courtroom right now, but she'll send it over when she can. Do you know who from your office, Ms. Bryant, is handling the Marquise case, Elijah Marquise?
I don't, but if you give me a moment, I'll see if I can find out.
Okay. I think it's Mr. Pebley. My clerk just informed me, so you're all set.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Ms. Bryant. Ms.
You're
Childress,
welcome.
you can disconnect.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Mr. Watkins, we were
Yep.
trying to get a hold of you. Mr. Sanchez has been here from the Kent County Jail on today's case with that probable cause conference. Did you get a chance to talk to him much?
I did, Your Honor.
And are you prepared to go forward today with whatever you decided, or do you need time to talk to him?
No, we are prepared, Your Honor.
And what's happening?
Mr. Sanchez would like to have his preliminary exam with.
Okay. Now, Mr. Tarango, do you have the witness here ready to start today, or are we going to put this over for next week?
Your Honor, I think we need to put it over for next week. My understanding from, this is just a PCC.
Yes, it is.
I don't have.
So, Mr. Sanchez, are you in custody on anything else?
Say what?
You were?
Your Honor?
Yes?
Your Honor, Mr. Sanchez was out on bond on a OWI third offense. We were in front of Judge Denenfeld waiting for, some court dates. Actually waiting for a trial date. We're still negotiating, but he had posted bond, and so he was out on bond, and then he has not posted bond on this case.
So is this the only case that's holding him in custody?
It would be, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Sanchez, next week, Wednesday, we're going to take testimony in your case. It's going to be set at 9 a.m. We'll be talking to you again from the jail. I don't know any of the details of your case. I don't know who this Marlene Fuller is. I don't know what they're saying happened on September 23 at the York Creek Apartments at Yorkland Drive. There's an allegation that a frying pan was used and that there was a felonious assault. If we take testimony on the case next week, which we're prepared to do, I have to make a decision whether the case moves on to circuit court. The felonies don't get dealt with in district court. The trials are in circuit court. This is a 4-year felony. If you're prepared to go forward with your preliminary exam next week, there won't be any further discussions with the prosecutor about any possible plea agreements. You forfeit or give up your rights to have a plea agreement if you run your exam. So take time to talk to Mr. Watkins between now and next week, because this case has nothing to do with your other 5-year felony case, OWI third. Separate and distinct. You need to know that. Any questions, Mr. Sanchez?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you have a question for me right now?
No.
So we'll see you next week, Wednesday at 9 a.m., just like this.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Mr. Tarango?
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may have a breakout room with Mr. Watkins for just a couple of minutes, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. We're through at the jail with Mr. Sanchez. Mr. Tarango and Mr. Watkins are going to talk a minute.